Hare Krishna. I welcome all to our Bhagavad Gita class. We are on chapter 15. The objective of this class is to enable reading of the shlok, to understand the basic philosophy of the meaning of the shlok, and to help understand the basic philosophy of Gita. We are on chapter 15, which is called the Yoga of the Supreme Person or Purushottam Yoga. This chapter has got 5 sections. We have already covered the first 2 sections, which is how can we go from material world to spiritual world. That was the first section. Second section was transmigration of the living entities. And we also did appreciating Krishna's position as our maintainer in the last class. Followed by today, we'll also be focusing on summary of the Vedas and the Vedanta. And knowing Krishna means knowing everything, followed by the glories of chapter 15 from Padma Purana. So we will finish chapter 15 today. Now, let us look at the summary of the last class that we did. So we started this chapter from how can we move from material world to spiritual world. And Krishna started talking about a comparison, saying that this material world is like a inverted banyan tree. It's like a inverted banyan tree with the roots upward and the branches flowing downwards. And why the root is upward? Because the material world starts with Brahma, and Brahma is, and from there it actually all the loks are formed. So it is like the different branches are different lok, and then it is so it's an inverted tree. Why it is an inverted tree? Why it is not a proper tree, the real tree? Because the real tree is in the spiritual world. Whatever we see in the material world is temporary and a reflection of the spiritual world. It is not real, it is a reflection. And we can see such a tree if we stand near the water. Then in the water we will see, if we see inside the water, we see a inverted tree instead of a proper with the roots down and the branches up, right? So we see now this water that we see from where which sees the inverted tree is basically the desire. Because of our desire, what happens? We are actually moved to this material world. So desire is the boundary or the reflection because of which the living entity moves to the material world, right? And this tree that we have, it is more watered. What is the watering process? It is watered by the 3 modes of material nature. So the tree grows more stronger by the 3 modes, the more ignorance, passion and goodness. And the living entity, based on how much passion, how much ignorance and how much goodness one has, in different births keep on moving from the lower branch to up branch and again goes back to lower branch. Sometimes it goes to the the secondary roots which is hanging from the tree. It is nothing but the fruitive activities that we do, which binds the soul. It binds the soul and it binds the living entity, and then what happens? We are actually get bound in the cycle of birth and death. So this is the inverted tree which has been compared with the material world by Krishna in the first 2 shlok. And then he says, if someone wants to move from the material world to spiritual world, then what has to be done? The root of this tree has to be cut very, very strongly. How can you cut the root strongly? By detachment. By detachment. Only the method, if we have to move from the material world to spiritual world, then we have to detach ourselves, detach all our senses from the material world and focus it to Krishna. So when we focus anything to Krishna, it becomes spiritual. It becomes spiritual. So unless we detach all our senses and our mind, all these things from the material world, we cannot progress towards spiritual world. So if we have to go to spiritual world, we have to actually cut with determination. Not only cut, we have to cut with determination all our attachment to the material things that we have in this world, right? And then he also says, after that we have to surrender. We have to surrender completely. We have to surrender completely, just like Arjun did to Krishna. How did he surrender? He surrendered completely. And that is what, when we surrender to Krishna, then what happens? He helps us to, he says in one of the shlokas, Krishna says that this material world is one of my energy and it is very, very difficult to cross it. But someone who surrenders to me, I will take care, I will hold and let them cross this material world very, very easily, right? So this is there. And then we went to the shlok fifth and sixth, which talked about the qualities of the one who can surrender. How can you know that this person is surrendered, or what are the qualities in the devotee who has surrendered himself to Krishna and is detached? You see that it is nirmana moha jit sanga dosha. Nirmana moha, he is not looking for man means honor. He is not craving for honor. And moha is illusion. He or she is not in any illusion. Jit sanga dosha. Jit means he has won over asanga dosha. With asanga, this what? Association with material people. The type of association we will be in, that's how we will be. If our association is with the people who are materialistic in nature, our attraction or our senses will also get attracted towards material things. So jitta sanga dosha. Sanga dosha is basically overcome in the association of materialistic people. Rather, you are in the association of spiritual people, who are those people who are trying to achieve Krishna. That is, you have achieved that, right? Adhyatma nitya. You are situated in the focusing on Krishna. Vinivritta kama, and you have one who has it. It has uh, crossed the calm bhav. That is crossed over the lust, and then dvandair vimukta, and is free of dualities of happiness, distress, honor, dishonor, all those dualities that we face in our life. It's above that. It has transcended those things. Sukh dunga sangai gachantya mudha, and is no more bewildered by anything which is materialistic. Padam avyam tat, and then is also surrendered to Krishna. So this is the qualities of the person who has surrendered, right? Then we went to the next section, which is transmigration of living entity. We'll quickly go through that. We started with the seventh shlok. Seventh shlok said, Mamaivansho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanah manah kashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Right? Seventh shlok says, so this is a very, very important shlok which defines the soul. What is soul? Krishna says, Mamai vansho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. In this Jivalok is all the 14 planets that we talk about, like who is in the center, and below that there is 7, which is the hellish planets, and then we have 6 up, which is the heavenly planets. So all these three, all the Jivalok, the 14 planets that we have, Jiva Bhuta is all the living entity in all these lokas are nothing but my ansha. They are my parts and parcel. And not only that, they are today part and parcel, and when they liberated, they'll come and come to me, and they will, what do you call it, when they get liberated, they will come and disappear in me. No, it's not like that. They are sanatana. They're eternally they are part and parcel of me. Even when they get liberated, they remain there as an individual and worship me. And then Krishna says in the second line, Manah kashtani indriyani prakriti. And he says mana is the mind and indriya. We have 5 indriyas, right? Kashti is 6. So all the 5 indriyas plus the mind, which is 6. These are the senses, which is, where is it situated? Prakriti. They are situated in Prakriti. Prakriti is in material, because now this part and parcel of mind, all the senses of this part and parcel of Jivatma is now situated where? In the Prakriti, in the material world. And that is why they are correction, they are struggling. They are struggling because instead of focusing, although they are part and parcel of me, instead of focusing on me, their senses and their mind is all attached to material world, and then that is why what is happening? They are struggling in this material world. They are struggling means they are in the cycle of birth and death, and they are not able to overcome or transcend the cycle of birth and death, right? Then we talked about the shlok number 8, which talks about Shariram yad vapnoti yad chapyut kramatishwarah grihit vaitani sanyati vayur gandha nivashrayat. We talked about just like Vayu, the wind, from a garden takes the beautiful smell of the aroma of the garden and leaves the flower there. It only carries the smell and then moves on. Similarly, this soul, along with the what happens when the soul is transmigrating, it carries only the man and intelligence and false ego along with that, and leave back the body and moves forward. And that is why how it transmigrates from one body to another. So it has given the analogy of how the wind takes away and keeps on moving from one body to another. And then based on the when it's moving, because when the soul moves, what does it carry with it carries mind. The soul is wrapped with mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are the three gross elements which is going along with the soul to another body. Now because man carries the desire, the mind carries the desire. Now based on that desire, what happens? The next form that it takes, accordingly the shotram, the hair, chakshu, eyes, the skin, the tongue, and the here is nose, everything gets developed. The senses gets developed based on the desire it carries along with that from one body to another. So that is what is shlok number 9.
Sorry. They say that when you own your karma, this is recorded, that goes with the soul.
Yes. So it goes. It's not only that. It goes. Three things goes. It is the man, that is the mind, intelligence, and false ego. So these are all. It's like it's recorded there. So it goes along with that, right? So that is then today we'll see how exactly it is utilized. So that's why when we look at shlok number 9, it says Shotram chakshusparshanam cha rasnam ghranameva cha adhishtaya manaschaya vishryanupasvasevate. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. So, what sort of form you will take, what sort of eyes, ears, and all will be taken, depends upon our the desires and the karma that we have done. Accordingly, it will be formed in the next birth, right? And then in the 10th shlok, Krishna says that the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of nature. A foolish person cannot understand that we are struggling in this world. Basically, the major problem we are suffering is we are in the cycle of this, in the birth of death. We are bound, we are conditioned in this material world. The foolish person cannot understand because they have not read the scriptures. They are just focused on enjoying in the material world. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all these things. Someone who has actually read the scriptures under the spiritual master, under the guidance of a spiritual master, can understand that I am not this body. Actually, I am the soul, and soul is a eternal part of Krishna. And because of my desires, I have got this body, and what I need to do, I have to detach myself and I have to surrender to Krishna so that I can free myself from this cage, this body that I have got, right? But yeah, then 11th shlok, Krishna says, the endeavoring transcendentalist who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. So who can see all this clearly? The transcendentalist who is above the modes of material nature, who has transcended the three modes of material nature. That yogi can actually understand, because the yogi is self-realized. Yogi can understand all these things. But those whose minds are not developed, whose minds are not developed means they are still focused on material things, that they ignorant, then what will happen? They cannot understand what is all these things happening. And after that we studied about appreciating Krishna's position as our maintainer. Then Krishna says that whatever you are enjoying, it's not that I've just left you alone in this material world. I have sent you to material world, but at the same time, it's me who is taking everything care of you. It is me who is taking complete care of you. And that is what Krishna explains in the next 4 shlokas. We have done till 3 shlokas, so let us go through 3 shlokas. Krishna says in the 12th shlok, he says, यदादित्यगतं तेजो जगद्भास्यते अखिलं यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्चाग्नौ तत्तेजो विधिमामकम्. Krishna says that the splendor of the sun, I have sent you to this material world. All the living entities who wanted to desire to be away from me, I created this material world for them, and I have sent all of them to the material world. But what did I do? This material world was dark. This material world was dark. So I actually created the sun so that the darkness can be removed. And then I also created moon so that the all the vegetables and all, they can get the juice from the moon. And then I also created fire so that you can use the fire for your advantage, right? Then Krishna says, then I entered into each planet. And what did I do? All the planets, we know, we have read in science, they're actually rotating. And then we also know that they are rotating in their orbits, and the sun is in the center, and we are having this gravitational energy, because of which we can walk on the earth. All those things which we have studied, Krishna says they are nothing but my energy. It is not just lying and suddenly it is lying hanging in the air. It is what? Because I am holding them, so you are seeing it lying in there, but actually I am the one. Because of my energy, they are there, and I become the moon, and that supplies the juice of life to all the vegetables. And then that was the last slok that we read last time, was aham vaishvanaro naro bhutva प्राणिनाम देहम आश्रित प्राणापान sammayukta pachamya anyam chaturudham. It is not only that I give you sun and moon and planets, but even in your body, the fire of digestion. Vaishvanara is the fire of digestion, which is in our stomach. It is because of this is also, it's me. I only enable the digestion of the food stuff that you eat. And then the prana and apan vayu, that when they come, because of this, because of samayukta, because of them, I help the digestion of the food stuff that we take. So this is till there we have covered. And you can actually, if you want to see this particular video, the link of this is there in my description box, so you can click and then you can go through the last class, right? So today we'll start with the 15th shlok, which is, let's read. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो
मतः स्मृतिर्ज्ञान अपोहनं च
मतः स्मृतिर्ज्ञान अपोहनं च
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहम् एव वेद्यो
वेदांत कृत वेद विद एव चाहम्
वेदांत कृत वेद एव चाहम्
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो
मतः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानम् अपोहनं च
मतः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानम् अपोहनं च
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहम् एव वेद्यो
वेदांत कृत वेद विदेव चाहम्
वेदांत कृत वेद विद एव चाहम् सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो
स्मृतिर्ज्ञानम् अपोहनं च
मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानम् अपोहनं च
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहम् एव वेद्यो
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहम् एव वेद्यो
वेदान्तकृत वेद विद एव चाहम्
वेदान्तकृत वेद विद एव चाहम्. Now here in this shlok, it's divided in 2 parts. Krishna says, now the topic that we are reading is the maintainer. So he is the maintainer of all the living entities, and he says, Sarvasya Chaham. Sarvasya means of all the living entity. Aham is I. What is I? Hidi means in the heart. Hidi means in the heart. Sanna Vishnu. Sanna Vishnu means I am situated. Sanna Vishnu means I am situated. So I am situated as a super soul, as a Paramatma in the heart of all the living entities. And because I am situated in the heart as Paramatma, Mattah means from me. Mattah means from me. Smriti means remembrance. Jnanam means knowledge. Apohanam means forgetfulness. Cha. So from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So I am situated in the heart of everyone, and from me comes the remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Then Krishna says, Vedaishchi Sarver. Vedaishchi Sarver. Now, Vedaish is basically Veda, from the Vedas. Sarve. Aham eva vedyo. Ved means, last Ved means to know. Ved means to know. Vedaishchi Sarver Aham eva vedyo. From all the Vedas, I am to be known. What is the summary of the Veda? From the summary of someone says I know Veda means when you someone says I know Veda, it means that person is very well aware that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, because Krishna says Vedaish sarver aham eva vidyo. What is to be known from all the Vedas? That I am the supreme personality of Godhead. Vedanta Krid. I am the compiler of Vedanta as Vyasadev. Vyasadev, remember when we read our 10th chapter, Krishna says, I am this, and he says, among the Munis, I am Vedavyas. So as Vedyas, in the Kali Yuga, what he did, he actually compiled the Vedanta. And what is Vedanta? Vedanta is basically the summary of Vedas. Summary of Vedas is Vedanta. Vedanta Krit Ved Vidachaham, and I am the knower of all the Vedas, right? So let us read the translation from Srila Prabhupada. I am seated in everyone's heart.
I am seated in everyone's heart.
And from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta. And I am the knower of the Vedas. Right? Now let us focus on the first two lines. Sarvasya chaham hidi sanna Vishtu. So Krishna is situated in everyone's heart as super soul. Mata smritir. Now imagine when the birth happens, when the new when we change our body, when we grow, how do we remember things? Because it is a journey. Now remember in the fourth chapter, when Krishna said to Arjun that this knowledge, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, it's not that I'm telling you for the first time. I had actually told this knowledge long back to Vivaswan, the sun god Vivaswan, and from there he gave it to Manu, and from Manu it went to Ikshvaku. But Arjun asked, how come you are of my age? How did you give this knowledge to Vivaswan some millions of years ago? So Krishna says, because you forget everything in all your birth. I am always there, you are always there. I remember everything of all the births, but you have forgotten. You only remember what is there in this birth, right? So how does you remember? Now what does Krishna do? Krishna sitting in our in our heart, super soul, reminds us, because it's a journey we are continuing from our previous birth to this birth. Our desires all are stored, right? He enables that we remember and we can continue our journey in this life. So he is the one, Matta Smriti. So I enable you to remember those things, and I give the knowledge. So if you want to focus on me, then I give you the knowledge. Remember the 10th chapter, Krishna says, if you want to know about me, then I give you the intelligence so that you can learn about me, right? And then Krishna, apohanam, I also give you the forgetfulness so that when you come back to your next life, you forget it. And that is the best thing he gives. Imagine if I remember what was I in my previous life, right? We say that when you die, whatever you think, you actually, same thing happens. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram, right? And the end of that is, it carries like that. Imagine if in the previous life, someone is a mother, and the next life the next that person becomes a daughter. You are confused whether I should respect the person as a grandma or I should respect the person as a daughter, right? So it is very very important. Krishna enables even the forgetfulness in all of us, which is again very very important for us to live our life without clutter in our mind, right? So Krishna says that. Then he says a very very important thing. He says that Vedaisha Sarver Ahameva Vidyo. It's very very important that from Vedas, what we have to know, it says the summary of Vedas is me. So if someone says I have read Veda and I have the knowledge of Veda, then it means that person has to know that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, right? Then Vedanta Krit, I am actually the one who has compiled the Vedanta Krit. I am the Vedanta. And what is Vedanta? Vedanta is basically the the conclusion of the Vedas. The summary of the Vedas is Vedanta, right? So now we move to the next slok. Now next slok is chapter 16. Now this is the new section. It is summary of the Vedas and Vedanta, or the next three slok is also called three shloki Gita, 16 to 18. Now, before we start the next three shloks, 16 to 18, what we are going to talk about the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave the three steps to perfection. And he says, as per Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the entire Vedic Gyan, whatever the Vedic Gyan, Vedic knowledge we have, that can be understood as in three steps. The first step is Sambandh Gyan. What is Sambandh Gyan? Sambandh is relation. Sambandh Gyan is basically who is God and who am I and what is my relationship with God and soul. These, if this is what is Sambandh Gyan. Understanding that who is God, who am I, and what is the relationship between God. This is called Sambandh Gyan. So the shlok number 16 to 18 focuses on Sambandh Gyan, right? Then Krishna says, then second step he says, after some understanding Sambandh Gyan, second step is Abhidheya. Abhidheya basically means how to revive the process of reviving that soul's relationship with the God. So there is some relationship between God and soul. That is the Sambandh Gyan. How to revive? Why are we here? Because we have lost the relationship. Why are we in this material world? Because we have lost the relationship between God and us. We have forgotten Him. So, what is the process to revive the lost relationship between God and us? That is called Abhidheya. That is called Abhidheya. That is second step. And the third step is called Prayojan. Prayojana is basically attainment of to the love of God. How we can attain the love of God, which is the ultimate goal of life. What is the goal of life? To go back to Godhead, which is the ultimate goal of life, right? So, and this three shlok 16 to 18 is also called the three shloki Gita. Let us now go to 16th shlok. द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके शरश्चाक्षर एव च शरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थो अक्षरः उच्यते द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके शरश्चाक्षर एव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षरः उच्यते द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके
अक्षर एव च
शरश्चाक्षर एव च
शरः सर्वाणि भूतानि
कूटस्थो अक्षर उच्यते. Now Krishna says here, Dva means two. Dva means two. Eva Mau. Mau means Purusha. There are two types of living entity, Loke, in this Lok. There are two classes of being of Purusha or living being in this lok, in this, which are they? Sharash Chakshara. They are Kshar and Chakshara and Akshar. They are Kshar and Akshar Evacha. They are the two types of living beings which are there in this loka. Kshara Sarvani Bhutani. And what is Kshara? Kshara is Sarvani Bhutani. All the Sarvani means all, and Bhutani means living entities. So all the living entities which are in this material world, they are Kshara. Kshara means fallible. They are fallible. They are fallible. So all the living entities which are in this material world are Kshara, which are fallible. And Kutastho Akshara Uchate. And Kuta means oneness. And Stha means situated. Stha means situated. But those who are situated in oneness, Akshara Uchate, they are called Akshar. So there are two types of living beings, one who are fallible and one who are infallible. Kshara means fallible and Akshara means infallible. So the Kshara are the living entities which are Jiva Bhuta, which are all of us in this material world, because we are conditioned soul and we are fallible. We will take birth again and again, and we are conditioned. But who are Akshara? They are in oneness with God. Oneness with God means that they are for they are not, but they are basically have the same what do you call it, qualities, and they are not conditioned. They don't have any material attraction. They are pure. They are pure, and they are pure. So when they are pure like God, so they are pure like God is what is the oneness with God. Akshara Ucha, they are called Akshara. They are called infallible. So they'll be not infallible, right? So let us read the translation. There are two, by Srila Prabhupada, there are two classes of beings.
There are two classes of beings.
The fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible. And in spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Yeah. So before I explain this shlok, let us think about let us now go back to our knowledge that we read in chapter number 7, where Krishna says, in the fourth shlok, Krishna says, Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Kham Mano Buddhirevacha Ahankara Itiya Me Bhinna Prakriti Rashtra. Krishna says, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These 8 comprise my my separated material energies. They are my extra material energy. So we talked about Prakriti. Prakriti is what? It is not life. It is Prakriti. It's a material energy, right? So these 8 are my material energy. We also talked about that our body is made up of 24 elements of material energy, right? So our body is a gross element, is a gross body, and our soul is basically pure, right? But when we take birth in this material world, our soul is wrapped, it is encaged in a body, and body is made up of earth. The body is of in two parts. One is the gross body, which is called earth, water, fire, air, and ether. One is these 5 elements, which is the gross body, and there's a subtle body. There's a subtle gross body. The subtle gross body is mind, intelligence, and ego, right? False ego. These 3 are the subtle gross body. When we die, along with the soul is covered by this subtle body and goes from one body to another body. But the other gross body, which is earth, water, fire, it's made up of earth, water, we leave behind, and we move from this body to another body only with the subtle gross body, which is mind and intelligence and ego. Okay? That goes along with soul to another body, right? Now let us go to the second shlok, the 7.5, when Krishna explained अपेयमितं स्वयं प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे पराम जीव भूतां महाबाहो ययेदम धार्यते jagat. Krishna says, one, that those 8 are my material energy, And then he says, besides these, O mighty armed Arjun, there is another superior energy of mine. So those 8 are my material energy, but there is one superior energy of mine which comprises the living entity, which is Jiva Bhuta, who are exploiting the resource of this material inferior energy. This Jiva Bhuta, this living entity, having this cover of all the material energy, is actually exploiting the resource of my material, all the material energy. They are enjoying that, right? This is what we read in the 7th chapter. So now let us come back to slok number 16. Now, shlok number 16, Krishna says, look at the second line, first part, it says, Kshara Sarvani Bhutani. Kshara means which is fallible. Sarvani Bhutani, which is Jiva Bhuta. All the Jiva Bhutas which are in this material world are Kshara. They are fallible. They are fallible, and what they have? They have a covering of this material body which is of gross and subtle. Right? Right? Now, how does the transition happens? First, when the soul is moving, it carries the 3 subtle body. Now, when the soul is attached to Krishna and is getting purified, then down the line, when we say the soul is liberated, this subtle gross body also gets dropped. This subtle gross body, which is mind, intelligence, and false ego, this also get dropped. Then the soul is pure, and it has a then it gets a then it, the pure soul has a spiritual body. The spiritual body does not get old. It doesn't go through birth. It is basically the spiritual body that is there. It is free from old age, disease, birth, and death. And then it is a part of Krishna. Got it? So the soul is covered by 3 bodies. One, the outermost gross body, which is basically earth, water, fire, air, and ether. That any when the soul is changing bodies, that gross 5 elements is left behind. But when it goes to the next body, it carries with it so the soul plus the subtle body. Till the soul is actually till the living entity is in cycle of birth and death, the subtle gross body of mind, intelligence, and ego moves along with the soul. But when the soul becomes very purified in Krishna consciousness, then what happens? This subtle gross body of mind, intelligence, and also falls off, and then the pure soul, which has a spiritual body, moves to Krishna. Understood? Understood? So that is so now Kutastha is that spiritual body which is pure soul. Kutastha is what?
Pure.
That pure soul which is now dedicated to Krishna. That is Akshara. What is that? That is Akshara, which is infallible. Understood? Which will not fall. It is that doesn't have any the spiritual, that soul does not have any link to the material, does not have any attraction to the material things. Understood? Clear? So this is how the body moves, and this is what that is the real form of the body. But very, very important thing that Krishna is going to speak in the next section. So the material body, what happens? It goes through the material body goes through birth, growth, duration, reproduction, dwindling, and vanishing. But the spiritual body is pure. No birth, no old age, no disease, right? So when the soul is conditioned, it is nitya bandha. It is nitya baddha. It is nitya, it is always baddha. It is in bondage. But when it is liberated, it is a kutastha stage. Then what happens? It is pure, and it is called nitya. There's another word I forgot that, right? So that is how the thing travels, right? Now let us go to the next shlok. 17th. Uttama purushastva anya Paramatmetya udahitah yo lokatrayam avishya bibhartya avya ishvarah uttama purushastvanya paramatmetya udahitah
Paramatmeta Udargraha
यो लोकत्रयम् अविश्य
Yo Lokatrayam Vishya
बिभर्त्य अव्य ईश्वरः.
Vivartya Avya Ishvaraha
माताजी.
Uttama Purushastva Anya
उत्तमः पुरुषस्त्वन्यः
Paramatmeta Udargraha
परमात्मेत्य उदारितः.
Yo Lokatrayam Avishya
यो लोकत्रयम् आविश्य
Vivartya Avyaya Ishvaraha
बिभर्त्य अव्य ईश्वरः. Now, so there we Krishna talked about in the 16th law, talked about that living entity of two types, which is fallible and infallible. Now here he says uttama. Uttama is greatest. Purusha, there is something. Purusha anya. If you look at the second word, it is Purusha tva anya. Anya means other, but there is another greatest Purusha. But there is another greatest Purusha, and what is that? Paramatmetya, which is Paramatma, which is the super soul. There's something different, which is Anya than the last two living types that Krishna has explained in the 16th slok. There is, that is separate from them. There is something, another greatest Purusha entity, personality, which is Paramatma, which is like super soul in the body, Udarita, which is called that. Yo, and what does that do? Yo lok. Lok means this material world. Trayam means all the three parts, means bhu, bhuva, and swa. In all the three lok, avishya, it enters that. Bibhartya means it actually maintain that avyam always as Ishvara. As Ishvara. So here in this shloka, Krishna says that apart from those two living entity, which is apara, the marginal energy of Krishna, there's a Krishna, there's a highest, there's a superior Purusha personality, which is Paramatma, which is basically as a super soul, and which enters this three lok, and it maintains that as Ishvara. So here in this slok, it talks about the super soul personality and also the Ishwar. So basically they all are one, as we have talked about in various classes, right? And then it says that besides these two, let's read the English translation. Besides these two,
Besides these two,
there is a greatest living personality,
there is the greatest living personality,
the supreme soul,
Supreme Soul,
the imperishable Lord himself,
imperishable Lord Himself,
who has entered
who has entered
the three worlds
the three worlds
and is maintaining them.
and is
Right?
maintaining them.
So Bibhartya means maintaining, and that maintenance that we talked about, he becomes sun, moon, as a moon, he gives the juices to the vegetables, then he takes as a planet, and you can take the book from there, yeah? And it takes then, as a planet, it is floating in the, and all the support that is being given is basically maintained by Krishna. Then we go to the 18th shlok. यस्मात् अक्षरम् अतीतो
Yasmat Aksharam
अतीतोऽहम् अक्षरादपि चोत्तमम्
Aksharapi Chotama
अतो अस्मिन् लोके वेदे
Ato Ashmin Loke Vede
च पतितः पुरुषोत्तमः
Cha Parita Purushottamaha
यस्मात् अक्षरम् अतीतोऽहम्
Yasmat Aksharam Aditoham
अक्षरात् अपि चोत्तमः
Aksharapi Chotamaha
अतोऽस्मिन् लोके वेदे च
Atosmi Loke Vede Cha
प्रतिथः पुरुषोत्तमः.
Pratita Purushotamaha
हाँ,
Ashmat Krishna Ato Ham
Yasmat Sha
Krishna
यस्मात् क्षर अतीतोऽहम्
Aksharat Api Chodamaha
अक्षरात् अपि चोत्तमः
Tospi Loke Veda Cha
अतो अस्मिन् लोके वेदे च
Patita Purushottama
पतितः पुरुषोत्तमः. Now Krishna says yasmat kshara matitosam. Atito is beyond. Beyond kshara. Kshara is fallible. Beyond fallible. Yasmat is because. Yasmat means because. Kshara is fallible. Atito is beyond that fallible. Aham. I am there. Who is there? I. And who is I? I am there. That transcendental is Aksharad. And which is Aksharad? I am infallible. Api Chottamam. And I am the Uttama. I am the greatest. Ato Asmin Loke Vede. And because I am the greatest, so what happened? I am Pratitha means celebrated. Pratita means celebrated as Purushottama. I am celebrated as the, in the Vedas, as the Supreme Personality of God, right? So let us read the English translation. Because I am transcendental,
Because I am transcendental,
beyond both the fallible
beyond both the fallible
and the infallible,
and the infallible,
and because I am the greatest,
and because I am the greatest,
I am celebrated both
I am celebrated both
in the world
in the world
and in the Vedas
and in the Vedas
as that supreme person.
that supreme person.
Right? So this is what is the 16th, 17th, 18th, the three shloki Gita, where Krishna explains about the Sambandh Gyan, the two living entities. They are the marginal energy of Krishna, then Krishna, the God, then Krishna, and the relation between them. Right? Now we go to the last two slok of chapter 15, which is knowing Krishna means knowing everything. 19 and 20. So let us read the 19th slok. यो मामेव सम्मूढो
यो मामेवम् असमुद्धो
जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं
जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं
स सर्वविद् भजति मां
स सर्वविद् भजति मां
सर्वभावेन भारत
सर्वभावेन भारत
यो मामेव असम्मूढो
यो मामेव असम्मूढो
जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं
जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं
स सर्वविद् भजति मां
स सर्वविद् भजति मां
सर्वभावेन भारत.
सर्वभावेन भारत.
माताजी.
यो माम् एवम् असम्मुद्धो
यो मामेव असम्मूढो
जानति पुरुषोत्तमं
जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं
स सर्वविद् भजति मां
स सर्वविद् भजति मां
सर्वभावेन भारत.
सर्वभावेन भारत. Now Krishna says yo means whoever. Yo means whoever. Mam means is to me. Asammudho. Asammudho means without doubting. Asammudho means without doubting. Janati means knows. What do they know? Purushottamam. That I am the greatest personality of Godhead. I am Purushottamam. Sir. Those, what do they? Sarvavid means to know. They know everything. Bhajati means they do the bhajan, the devotional service to Mam. They do bhajati Mam. To me, they do the devotional service Sarva Bhaven, with all the bhav, with all the feelings. Bharata means Arjun. So let us read the translation. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
without doubting, is the knower of everything.
is the knower of everything.
He therefore engages himself in full devotional service
in full devotional service
to me,
O
O son of Bharat.
O
Right?
son of
Right? So Krishna says here that those who are without doubt. Now when we read about the 3 steps from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, first was Sambandh Gyan. Sambandh Gyan was knowing the relationship between me and God. Who is God? Who am I? And what is the relation there? Then is Abhidhye. Abhidhye means how can I revive the relationship? How can I revive? Once I know the relationship, how do I revive the relationship between me and God? And what is the process? By bhajati mam, by devotional service. What have we to do? We have to do the devotional service to Krishna. And then we, as per Bhagavatam says in the 7th canto, Bhagavatam it says, Shri Prahlad Vacha, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. What is devotional service? How do we perform this devotional service? It says, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. So these are the 9 steps by which we do the devotional service. Shravanam means hearing about the Krishna, about the forms of Krishna, qualities about Krishna, pastimes of Krishna. So that is by hearing. It is said that we don't see the God by eyes. We don't see the eyes because our eyes are totally, it is contaminated. It is not pure. So if we see we try to understand the God by our eyes, we cannot understand because it is fully contaminated. It has nothing. But when we hear, from our ears, when we hear our Shastras, when we hear about Krishna, our eyes becomes pure. And then how much we can hear, that much only we can see the understand the God. So we don't see the God by our eyes, but we see by our ears. So we have to hear about Krishna. So first, the most important thing in devotional service is hearing. The more we hear, the more we learn, and the more we can see. Understood? So first is Shravanam, then Kirtanam. Kirtanam means chanting the holy name. Chanting the holy name is Kirtanam. Vishnu. Then Smaranam. Smaranam is remembering. Again, remembering the past time, remembering the prayers, right? Smaranam. Padasevanam. Worshipping the lotus feet of Krishna. Archanam. Offering the lamps. Vandanam. Offering the prayers. Archanam is decorating the god, offering the diya, offering. This is Archanam. Vandanam is singing prayers. Dasyam is being servant, being the servant of the Lord. Sakhyam. Sakhyam means being the friend of the God. Atmanivedan is completely surrendering ourselves to God. So this is the process of devotional service. And the more pure we are, the more devotional service we'll be able to offer, and the more the stronger relationship will be there, and the more we will be in the path of advancing towards liberation. Right? Now we go to the last shlok, which says, Iti guhyatamam shastram
Iti guhyatmam shastram.
idam uktam mayanagha
Idam uktam maya naga.
etad buddhva buddhimana.
Etat buddha buddhimanya.
Again, etad buddhya buddhimanya syat
Etat buddha buddhimanya syat.
krit krityascha bharata
Krityasya bharata.
iti guhyatamam shastram
Iti guhyatamam shastram.
idam uktam mayanagha
Idam uktam maya naga.
etad buddhva buddhimanya syat
Etam buddha buddhimanya syat.
krit krityascha bharata.
Krityasya bharata.
Mataji?
Iti buddhya mananam sastram
Iti guhyatamam shastram
idam uttam maya dha
idam uktam mayanagha
idat buddha buddhiman itya
syat etad buddhva buddhimana syat
kritya cha bharata.
kita krityascha bharata. So Krishna says iti, it is this. What is this? This guhyatamam. Guhyatamam is the most confidential. This is guhyatamam is the most confidential shastram. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic literature. Idam utvam. Idam utvam is what I am saying now. Anagha. And anagha is anagha means sinless. And whom is addressing? Arjun. O Arjun, O sinless one, O Arjun, this is the most confidential part of the Shastra. Shastra etad buddhya. And those that, etad buddhya means those who are who can understand it. Buddhaman. Buddhiman is intelligent. And Satkrit Kristasya Bharata. O Bharat. O again he says to Arjun, O Bharat, whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. So by knowing this, what will happen? We can achieve perfection. Right? Yeah. So let us read the English translation. This is the most confidential part of Vedic literature.
This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures.
O sinless one.
O sinless one.
And it is disclosed now by me.
And it is disclosed now by me.
Whoever understands this
Whoever understands this
will become wise,
become wise,
and his endeavors will know perfection.
and his endeavors will know perfect.
Right? So this finishes the 15th chapter, and now we will go to the glories of chapter 15 from Padma Puran. So what is the from Padma Puran? What is the glories of chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita? Yeah. So all the stories of Padma Puran is Shiva is telling to Parvati. So Mahadev ji is telling to Parvati. So what he says is, once there lived a king called Kripa Narsimha. There was a king called Kripa Narsimha, and he was a great warrior. He was a great king. Now, his chief of army, his name was Sarbhamedu. His chief, the name of the person was Sarbhamedu, and he was a very great warrior and a very very learned person also. And but what happened? He became very very greedy. He became very, very greedy, and he decided to kill the king. He decided to kill the king and his son and take the kingdom. So that was his intention. But what happened? After he had this thought, within few days he caught cholera and he died. Now when he died, he took next birth as a horse. And it was not just an ordinary horse, it was a mighty horse. And it was a very, very unique horse. The horse was so unique that everyone was comparing the horse to Uchashrava. Who is Uchashrava? We know that when the churning of ocean was happening, and then whatever came out of that, from there where the nectar had come, in that one of the things that had come out was the horse called Uchashrava. So this horse was being compared to that horse. It was such a great and unique horse. One businessman who was of the same kingdom as the king, he saw this horse and he gave a lot of money to buy this horse. And after buying, he went to the king and said, because it was such a unique horse, I wanted to give this horse. I bought this horse so I can give it to you. Now the the king's people who were experts in horses, they came and everyone was surprised to see the horse. It was such a unique horse. And what did this decided is, they were like extremely happy, and the king also, knowing that the uniqueness of the horse, was extremely happy, and he gave lots of gold coins to the businessman. Then what happened? King was very proud of this horse, and one day he decided to go for hunting on this horse. Now along with this horse, there were his all other people were also, they accompanied him. Now the king got saw a deer and started following that deer. And when he started following with this horse, he was running so fast that all his fellow men, they were left behind, and he went much ahead, right? And there what happened? He actually got very thirsty. He started, and when he got very thirsty, he actually put the he bound this horse to a tree, near the tree, and started looking for the water. He saw a small mound there. He started moving up the mound. Then suddenly a leaf carrying something written on that came to him. He took this leaf and read what was written in that leaf. He read that, and when he turned back, he saw that the horse is already dead. Dead? Yeah, the horse was already dead. He read this thing, and then he found that the horse is already dead. So he was like, he couldn't understand what happened. And then when he went up the mountain, he saw that there was a big ashram. So he went to the rishi and said, I read this, and I had this horse with me, and this something happened. What is this? So the rishi meditated and said that the horse you had got is actually your the chief of army who wanted to kill you, and all these things happened. Now because you spoke one slok of chapter 15, so he actually got relief from that body of horse, and he became, he went back, right? So now king was extremely surprised to hear all these things. He came back, then he got the knowledge about chapter 15 from this rishi. Then he came back, he handed over all his kingdom to his son, and went back to forest and started chanting chapter 15 always, and finally he got liberated. So that is the power of chapter 15. If someone chants this chapter 15 every day, it has a potency to liberate a human being. So this is the last we are ending this chapter. So before we close this class and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, I would request all, whatever questions you have, you please write down in the comments, or so that I can answer those questions and clear your doubts. If anyone has any questions or any learnings that you would like to put in the comments, please do that, so I can answer to those and help, right? Yeah, so let us now chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times and end the class. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.